Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Align and Thrive, Live Your Truth. I'm Rosalie Dodonna from the Purifying Place. I am a spiritual life coach, Reiki master, and healer. And today we're going to talk about refining your inner world to embody your divine truth. And I was thinking about the name, the Purifying Place, which was given to me in an Akashic reading during my Reiki Master training. It's actually the second level I was training at, and there was an Akashic reading done, and um, I was given the name for my business, and it was the Purifying Place. And it's so interesting because every year I choose a word that is that I'm going to embody, that I'm going to work on, and I think that year or the year before, my word was refinement. And it's so interesting now looking back how the name of my business is The Purifying Place. And, when that name was given to me, I wasn't really sure what. Um, I kind of thought, oh, that's weird. It sounds kind of religious, purifying. And I wasn't sure of it. I wasn't really sure, but I knew that I had to name my business that because of um, that really transformational experience I had in the Akashic reading. But now that I'm working through my business, doing my own inner work, it's so evident why it was the purifying place. And it's really about this purification process, this refinement process that happens within us to discover the truth of who we are and for us to return to our wholeness and our being. Which then on that level, we can embody our truth even more and integrate it into this world. So I kind of want to talk about that today. And let's kind of start with this. A lot of the times when I'm working with clients, people think transformation is about doing more, adding more, working harder, more strategies, more tools, more knowledge. And I know because I used to think that as well. I was constantly listening to podcasts, I was constantly reading books, I was, you know, just consuming, 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 thinking, "Oh, yes, this is helping me, this is helping me." But really, that was making my mind go 100 times faster, which led to burnout, anxiety, all the things that I was trying to create the opposite of, right? But for real transformation, especially the kind that I do with my clients, it's really about refinement, which is the purifying process, right? It's about clearing out everything that is not you, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard that quote, right? Or education is about learning so that you can unlearn what you were taught. It's kind of like that, right? All the conditioning, all of the imprints that have been put on us from our upbringing, society, um, our family, any experience that we've had that, might have been traumatic or um, all those things, right? We're refining and clearing out everything that isn't us so that what remains is our soul essence, is our truth. And and then from there, we can create from that space and lead from that space, operate from that space. Um, so refinement looks like number one, creating safety to meet your full self. And a lot of us grow up in homes, not all of us, but even if your parents try perfectly to be everything for you and watch what they say and this and that, it's, you know, we're, no one's perfect. And there might be something that happens that ultimately we disconnect from our truth. We learn to adapt, to perform, to please, to put ourselves second or last. And, so before you can embody your truth, you have to feel safe enough to actually see the truth of who you are. And this is why, through my work, I also use Reiki to help with that because it just creates that safe space for our nervous system to relax, for us to receive, for us to let go and work through releasing those blockages, those imprints, those aspects of the conditioning, right? To then welcome the truth of who we are back in. And another thing that helps with that is working with a coach, working with someone one on one, or even attending like a women's circle, when you're in the presence of someone else who can kind of hold that space for you, not only do you see the truth for who you are, someone else sees it. That's powerful, right? That's healing. Um, yeah. So, number two, next thing, we bring awareness to the patterns that are keeping us out of our soul alignment, out of our true essence. And, we have to be honest with ourselves and look back at our years of being on this earth and see what patterns do I notice or keep coming up for me. It might be, certain patterns of people I date, or just certain types of relationships I keep recreating, or certain types of work situations I keep creating. Um, because for me, I know this happened, and I would always explain away why it happened and never took accountability until I did. And so that pattern, becoming aware of it and taking the full accountability and seeing it, is our clue that there's something there that's keeping us out of alignment, right? And these things don't just go away with, like I said, the over consuming of books and podcasts and the knowledge and the strategies and the positive thinking and all the things, right? That we people tell us to do to help us feel better, but not actually um, let go of what's weighing us down. So, when you can operate from the place of consciously choosing something different, you regain your power. Because if you're always operating out of patterns, you're just recreating the past. You're recreating almost like this prison of um, what you don't want because it's ingrained in your subconscious. So healing really starts with the awareness. That is huge. Just the fact that you're aware, like, oh, this is a pattern. And now I'm consciously going to choose to do something different. And um, when you make the choice, I'm going to choose something different for myself, that is one huge step in the right direction, right? On the path towards being in alignment with your soul. And, once you start doing that, I notice like when I'm working with clients, they might have taken that step and now but what happens is, so shadows come up. And again, this is the refinement process. Things are coming up that don't define us, but that we've experienced, and they trigger us, or they kind of want to hold us back into our old way of being. And what happens is people try to push past them and just execute on the action. And what they're doing is bypassing. So they're saying, "Oh God, I felt that. Oh, I felt it in my chest, or I felt it, in my stomach. It didn't feel good, but I'm gonna do it anyway." And that can get us so far. What happens is people go super into the masculine. They start executing, they start doing, they start pushing past that feeling, and they might manifest or they might create something different in their life, but it's not sustainable. It leads to burnout, it leads to resentment, leads to just not feeling good inside because there's still this inner resistance of something that needs to be released. Um, so the third thing that we do and at the Purifying Place and with my clients, and when you're in this active refinement and this process of refinement, is um, integrating your shadows. So when those shadows come up, instead of resisting them, bypassing them, pushing past them to execute on what you think you should be doing, it's really taking the time to slow down and hold those aspects of yourselves that might feel messy, unlovable, scary to face, and just ugly, right? You don't want to look at them, but hold them with compassion, hold them with love, and um, recognize those are parts of you. Those are still parts of you, and integrate them into the wholeness of your being, right? Be able to hold the capacity of all of you, all facets of you, even the ones that we deem unworthy, unlovable, um, bad, whatever it is. Release the judgment of that and when you can hold all of who you are and integrate that fully into the whole aspect of your being, that's what creates inner peace. That's what creates authenticity. And it's not perfection, because if we never own the shadow aspects of ourselves and just push past all the time and execute on things, we're lying to ourselves, right? We're lying to ourselves about feeling a certain way. And we might say, "Oh, it's fine. We feel good. We're gonna do it. It's okay." And you know, that happens to the best of us, right? All of us. We think, "Oh, yeah, I'll just deal with that later," or "It's okay. Um, I felt like that, but I'm gonna do it anyway," right? But it's really our soul's way and our body's way of indicating and signaling to us that something needs to be looked at here. Something needs to be processed. Something needs to be seen. Something needs to be integrated and recognized, right? And accepted. And yeah, that's a big one. That's a big, juicy one. Number three, integrating your shadows. And next one, number four, is so when you release those shadows, when you release and you integrate them, or release the conditioning and integrate your shadows and live in the essence, the wholeness of who you are, this really helps anchor you into your truth, right? You're clearing out the noise, you're clearing out all of the gunk, and your truth starts rising up to the surface. And that's so interesting because it's like, and your consciousness rises up too, right? You're becoming more conscious, more aware. And what happens is you start embodying your truth. And I feel like that word embody is just coming up so much because what's happening is you're not just outsourcing your power, outsourcing your energy, performing for other people, contorting to people's likes and dislikes or whatever it is. You begin living and leading from a place from within, right? From the place that you know is true to who you are, in an accepting way of who you are. And the judgment is being released, right? You can just be who you are without like second guessing yourself. And that in itself is a process too, right? The embodiment, because we might not always do that. We might still find ourselves going back to, old beliefs, or old shadows might come up again, trigger us again. But I notice with what happens with, my own journey and with my client's journey is, once you have the awareness piece, once you work on the deconditioning process and recognizing your shadows and taking accountability and starting integrating them into your wholeness, into your light, those things that come up again, they don't have as much of a hold on you, right? And if anything, then it allows even more things to come up, and then so because you're ready to release them now, you're ready to process them, you're giving them that safe space to be felt and let go of. And so it might not, embodying your truth and doing all this might not feel like the best sometimes. Like sometimes you might feel very emotional or very sensitive, or um yeah, like, because things are coming up, things are being felt, things are being processed, things are being released. And but the more you do that, the lighter you feel, and you start living in your truth, right? You you have very clear standards and expectations and boundaries of what you will choose for yourself, because you're not operating out of old patterns anymore. You're not operating out of outwardly expectations or um outcomes. You're living from the inside, right? You're sovereign. You choose. It's interesting because a lot of people want freedom, but they don't realize that they've been creating cages and prisons for themselves through the subconscious beliefs, right? Through the patterns, through um, not doing the inner work and just recreating old experiences for themselves. So this is why this work is just so important because we want to be able to make our own decisions, right? We want to be able to experience all that life has to offer and whatever we desire in our hearts. So, when you start refining your inner world and showing up as yourself, um, that's when the alignment becomes sustainable, right? The old masculine way of pushing past, bypassing, doing, executing, and getting burnt out and feeling resentful and getting sick now becomes the sustainable, peaceful way of moving and a powerful way of moving quietly in your knowing and in the truth of who you are. You become unshakable, you become confident, um, it's sustainable, right? And that a result of that is you will continue thriving, right? And that's why I think I picked that. That's why I picked the title Align and Thrive, because when you align, the byproduct of that is thriving in life, in all areas of your life. It's natural. That's the natural state when you live from your truth. So, again, this is an invitation to start living from a place of wholeness, start living from the power of who you are, and stop outsourcing that power and go deeper into your own inner work. Again, my space is open to you. That's what I created the Purifying Place for. And I just wish you so much luck and blessings and just faith in your journey, because you've gotten this far along for a reason. You're on this path for a reason, and when you trust in the process, you trust in this becoming of who you are, you trust in working through those wounds, working through the shadows, integrating them, and recognize we're never looking for an arrival point. This whole process of who we are is becoming, is continuous. And you just keep aligning, you keep thriving, and you live your truth, right? That's most important, live your truth. So I hope this episode was helpful to you and it resonated for you. Let me know if you have any questions, but I just love this and I'm so happy to share this work because I know it is truly invaluable and it will set you free. This work, this inner work that you do, it's just the peace that you feel and the knowing and the power of who you are, just it's going to ripple out into all aspects of your being, into your life, and you're not going to have to explain yourself to anyone anymore. You're going to know um, and have this conviction about how you move, what you choose, and that just feels so good. And I wish that for all of you. And I know if that's what you're looking for, you will have it, right? Seek and you shall find. So, again, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I hope this was helpful. See you next time.